financial planner. Follow us on YouTube.
The truth is starting to slowly leak out. The cabal worries begin. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, it's starting to look like there's some infighting within the government. Now, we know where there's neocons, Cabal, and other factions within government. And it looks like Trump, well, he's going up against John McCain. And we all know about John McCain. He is a neocon. He likes war. He's been out there visiting the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda. And again, he has been spotted supporting these groups. He's part of the problem. And we already see that Trump has warned McCain, listen, at some point you need to be very careful because I'm going to fight back. I'm being very nice right now. I'm being very, very nice. But at some point, it won't be pretty. And of course, McCain responded to Trump saying that he faced far greater challenges than this. Now, what's happening within government, we know that the cabal is still there, neocons are there. What's happening right now is things are starting to fall apart all over the place. It's not just one area. The truth is starting to leak out very, very slowly. And we see with the Weinstein thing, with Hollywood, where there's a lot of people coming out talking about how this has been going on, the truth of everything is starting to leak out. Now, I'm not saying everything's going to come out all at once, but slowly but surely the truth is going to come out, and people are going to get brave enough and start pointing fingers. Now, what's very interesting is that the FBI uncovered Russian bribery plot, and Obama knew about this. Now, what is this all about? Well, there have been newly released FBI documents that reveal for the first time that the Obama administration was well aware of illegal bribery, extortion, money laundering schemes being conducted by the Russians to get a foothold in the atomic energy business in the U.S. before approving a deal that handed them 20% of America's uranium reserves and resulted in a windfall of donations to none other than the Clinton Foundation. Now, Peter Schweizer first released his feature documentary, Clinton Cash, the Uranium One deal, as approved by the Obama administration, netted the Clintons and their Clinton Foundation millions of dollars in donations and speaking fees from Uranium One shareholders and other Russian entities. And what we're seeing at this point is that the Clintons and Obama, they were all involved in this. Now, 9 shareholders of the Uranium One just happened to make $145 million in donations to the Clinton Foundation. Moreover, the New Yorker confirmed that Bill Clinton received $500,000 in speaking fees from a Russian investment bank. Now, think about what they're doing at this point. They're trying to point the finger at Trump with Russian collusion. Never panned out. Because what they're really doing is they're hiding everything that they've been doing in the past. And when Trump called out Obama for spying on him, it turned out to be true. We also see now that this uranium deal turning out to be true. What we're seeing right now is the truth slowly being leaked out from everywhere. And we're going to see a lot more of this. Now, the cabal, the neocons, they're starting to get a little worried. Think about what's happening right now. Out in Syria, out in the Middle East. All their plans are falling apart. They never got that one world government. They never got the trade deal, the TPP, approved. They never banned all the guns. Everything that they've been trying to do for a very long time, well, it's all starting to implode on them. And they're getting very worried. Soon, just like in every other country throughout time, we're going to see certain individuals being brought into Congress, and they're going to be questioned about certain things. Is it going to happen tomorrow? No. But eventually, it will happen. Now, out in Catalonia, we see Spain. They basically said that the referendum that was held back on September 6th to hold a vote on independence was unconstitutional and void. Now, again, Spain is not going to allow Catalonia to separate from Spain. Now, of course, this is going to be a problem. We might even see a civil war because the people are going to be very upset saying, listen, we don't want to be a part of this anymore. We want to be separate and apart. And we've seen this in the past. What happens when the people don't get their way? Well, they fight. And we're going to have to watch this situation very carefully because it looks like we might be headed in that direction. Now, North Korea is out there saying, listen, the United States is trying to provoke a nuclear war. We also have a North Korean defector, and during these situations, they always bring out the individuals, defectors, or a Syrian, if you're talking about Syria, or someone from Ukraine, to tell you what's really going on with the entire situation. And this defector from North Korea is saying that North Korea is so close to a collapse because of all the sanctions and everything. But once again, every single country that has been, sanctioned, they really never collapsed. I mean, they thought Russia was going to collapse with sanctions. Never did. Cuba, Iran, Syria, you name it, didn't happen. North Korea figured out, and all these countries always figure out a way around the sanctions. They're dealing outside of the dollar. They're dealing opium, and they're selling it over their borders. They're using cryptocurrency. They're doing everything to get around these sanctions. And every country does this. But they want to make it look good. They want to make it look like it's about to collapse, that North Korea is about to collapse. And at this point, they're trying to build the idea that they're going to be getting very, very desperate and they're going to be firing some type of missile at maybe a ship, at Guam, at Japan. There's going to be no missile coming at the United States. They don't have one that can reach. But they're trying to build this idea. And what is happening right now is that the U.S., Russia, China, they're all in talks about calming the situation down. Now, the U.S. is not directly talking to North Korea. They're going through Russia, going through China. They're like the go-betweens for all of this. And the United States right now is not ruling out the eventual possibility of direct talks with North Korea. This is coming from the Deputy Secretary of State, John J. Sullivan. Now, what's very interesting about this is that North Korea has endorsed the Russian-China double freeze peace plan. And they're saying, listen, all we want from Washington is for them to stop the military drills. And we will freeze everything on our end. And they're saying that the United States these days is conducting a policy of sanctions against both countries, Russia and North Korea, trying at the same time to make Russia join the campaign of sanctions against North Korea with the aim of breeding discord between the countries. And the North Korean Foreign Minister, Ri, explained that the only thing holding back North Korea back from engaging in dialogue with the U.S. and from engaging in Russia's economic proposals is the fact that North Korea refuses to negotiate with any party until the U.S. ceases its military threats against North Korea. And the United States right now, they're not looking at this saying, okay, listen, we will just stop the drills. I mean, they can have the hardware there, just stop the drills. They won't even do that. Why? Because they're trying to push war. But in the background, North Korea is open to talks, and the United States is out there saying that they're not ruling out the eventual possibility of direct talks with North Korea, which tells me that they're getting very close into calming the situation down. Now, it doesn't mean the cabal is not going to try something, because we can see already their backs are against the wall. There's infighting within government, and right now they're losing the Middle East. They're losing their edge. We see already that the Iraqi Kurd army agrees to return the 2003 borders that they captured. They're saying, okay, listen, you got Kirkuk. We're going to give back the borders that we took, and we're going to set everything back to the way it was. And again, this is a huge blow to the cabal who wants to separate Iraq and Syria. We see right now that the U.S.-backed coalition, well, they're saying that they're basically declaring victory over the Islamic State in Iraq. Basically what happened is they allowed the Islamic State out of Iraq because they saw what was happening, where Russia and Syria were clearing everything out, and they needed to get the Islamic State out. And now we see that the Syrian Democratic Forces have taken control of this area. We also have Russia and Syria taking control of the same area. And again, once again, we can see that time is ticking down. We see the elite Syrian forces, they liberate all of the western Euphrates bank towns and villages from Deir ez-Zor to El Maladin, and they're clearing the whole place out. The Russian defense minister is saying that their operation in Syria is nearing completion. What they're saying right now is that the paid mercenaries that held all of this land is dwindling down to almost nothing. And like I said before, it's a matter of, I think, weeks now that Russia, Syria say, listen, the United States has no business being in Syria. The coalition forces have no business being in Syria. And they're going to ask them to leave. Once this happens, game over. Because the pipeline that they wanted going through Syria up into Europe, and also going into Iran and having regime change in all these countries, and basically maintaining all these countries with regime change so they can control natural gas, all the oil, keep the petrodollar system going, it is now falling apart. And they're starting to worry. And as we can see, once that announcement comes, they might pull off the next event. They've been building the propaganda. They've been telling us about cyber attacks, about bringing the stock market down. They've been telling us about them sending phishing emails to bring down the power grid. They've been building up the provocations in North Korea. And it looks like they're not stopping, because we can see right now they have no options left except for some type of an event. Now, what is this event going to be? We don't exactly know. But we know they're becoming very, very desperate. And we can see already that the global economic system is imploding at a very, very rapid pace. And the real economies, not just here in the United States and the bubbles around the world, they're all starting to pop. And we're seeing many, many different signs of this. I mean, as we've been reporting on this, and we go back a couple of years, when retail just started to do poorly, people were saying, no, it's online. Retail's really not doing that poorly. Housing's not doing that bad. It's doing pretty darn good. You know, and everyone was out there saying that, yeah, it doesn't look that bad. Fast forward to today, we're having a retail apocalypse. I mean, the online sales are only 10% of retail sales. The housing market is falling apart outside of the 20 cities. And once they fall apart outside of the 20 cities, it's going to affect those 20 cities where they pumped up the bubbles. The bubbles in Vancouver, in Australia, in the UK, they're starting to pop. We're starting to see prices come down. It's all starting. And it's going to continue as we move forward. And it's going to accelerate. Actually, we've been seeing it move very, very quickly since we've been reporting on this, because this is what happens. It starts out very, very slowly, and once the dominoes start to fall, it picks up speed, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. And this is why they've been pushing for an event for a very long time, and here we are at the end game, and they have no choice but to push for an event. And this is why we're going to see them really push right now, especially when we go into the new year, because this holiday season is going to be a complete disaster, and they're going to have a choice. Either they have an event or everything is blamed on them, and the truth is out there, and they're going to be on the run. So what we're seeing right now is the beginning stages of the collapse, and it's going to get worse as we move to the end of this year, to the beginning of next year. And this is why you need to be ready, because at any moment, everything could come down in a split second. There'll be no warning, really. It will just happen. Just like in 2008, everyone said everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, everyone woke up one day and the market was tanking. Companies needed bailouts. And more companies needed bailouts. It came out of nowhere, except for those people that were following it, except those people that looked at the subprime securities. Everyone else was believing what the government, what the corporate media, and everyone else was telling them. So get ready, get prepared, because you can see what has been happening. This is why we've been following this, to make sure that everyone is ready and prepared.